Hey everyone, welcome to another video. This video is gonna be pretty exciting because I got the new Nabla Read My Mind palette. This way around. I was holding it upside down. Okay, the new Nabla Read My Mind palette. It had been a while since they last came out with a bigger palette. Their last bigger palette was the Side by Side Nude Eyeshadow palette, which is one of my ultimate favorites by Nabla and in my collection in general. And it was also the first eyeshadow palette that I actually reviewed on my channel. So that palette really has a special place in my heart. But then it took quite long for them to come out with another big palette. And I was really hoping that it would be soon this year. I also put it in a video where I talked about things I hoped brands would come out with, and here we are. They have released a new big palette. So I'm gonna do a first impression. I'm gonna show you some swatches, close-ups, a look. So let's get right into it. So yeah, I'm really excited about this palette. I'm really excited that Nabla came out with a new palette because I am just someone who loves Nabla. Nabla is one of my favorite brands. They do some very beautiful eyeshadow palettes, beautiful color stories that are really up my alley. This is the outer box of the packaging. It kind of looks like a game. It has those game vibes. It's game inspired. It's like, I don't know how you call this in English, but you move it around and then it becomes a shape. That's how I look at it. I thought the promos of this eyeshadow palette were a little bit confusing. I was a bit confused. What was gonna happen? Were we gonna have an eyeshadow palette? What were all those hints about? Were they gonna release an NFT? When I saw that, I was like, what is going on? But it was an eyeshadow palette, and then the actual packaging of the palette is a little bit different. The colors are a little bit different, a little bit darker. This feels very heavy and weighty and very kind of luxurious. I wouldn't have thought that I would like this packaging, but I actually quite enjoy it. I wouldn't have thought of making a palette based on a game like this and making a palette based on being confused. I wouldn't have expected it, but I think it looks pretty nice. It's not something that blows my mind, that is so up my alley that I'm like, oh my, that is the best theming of a palette ever. But I still like it. I still like how it looks. It is just interesting to me. It is quite interesting. And then on the inside, this is what it looks like. And we kind of have like 4 rows that have a name. We have the Scarlet row, which is kind of like reddish pink. Then we have the Rosé or Rose row, which is a bit lighter and pinky but a little bit softer. Then we have the Sage row with a deep kind of brown shade. I think it's deep brown, and then these 2 greens that look very interesting. And then we have the Honey row that's a little bit neutral with a pop of honey, like a warmer shade over here. I feel like this color story is very Nabla. They are a brand that really loves doing eyeshadow palettes that are a little bit of a mix between neutrals and colors, like some colors that are a little bit more toned down, some neutrals that have a little bit of an interesting undertones, and then some pops of color in there. I can really see some very pretty looks here. I do love how these shimmers look because some of them look very nice and sparkly, especially this rosé shade and this pinky shade over here look very nice. I just wanted to say something real quickly about the layout of this palette. Some people really love it when a palette is laid out for them and kind of tells them what to do, and it's very simple and very to the point, like in the rows, like the Tati palette for example. Some people love that, but I'm not really someone who is into that vibe. This isn't too bad in my opinion, but I don't love it when a palette tells me what to do, and I don't love it when a palette is too organized. I think, to me, a little bit of a mixed color story, like different colors put together, that actually inspires me and makes me use colors together that I wouldn't have really thought about. So I actually find a little bit of chaos kind of inspiring. I don't really mind how this is done, but it isn't my personal favorite. But it also isn't like as structured as some things, and it also doesn't tell me what to put in the crease and the inner corner and things like that. Those kind of names that doesn't really excite me. So all in all, I really love the look of this palette. I think it looks very, very pretty. I think it's a nice color story, but it definitely is for neutral lovers that might want to branch out a little bit and reach into those greens. It is very much what I expected from Nabla. I don't feel like they're really going out of their comfort zone and trying something different. I think I'm really gonna enjoy this, but I would love to see something a little bit different from them. I feel like they're playing it safe a little bit. And I kind of would have expected them to come out with maybe multi-chromes at this point. I feel like they're a little bit behind in comparison with some other indie brands that are really like stepping it up, really doing something different, really playing around with the formulas. I feel like Nabla is one of the first brands that actually really did a lot of different textures in a palette. But I'm kind of waiting for them to take the next step. But I'm gonna try it first and then I'm gonna tell you if my feelings were right, if I was right. I'm gonna do a look first. Let's get into the eyeshadow look. Okay, so I haven't really thought about what I want to do. I feel like there are quite a few options here, quite a few things that attract me in this palette. I feel like these two top rows are like my safe choice, and this is kind of like the row that could get really smoky and kind of green. I think I do want to play a little bit with the greens. I think I'm gonna do kind of like a two-tone crease. Start out with a two-tone crease, do some green in the inner part, some pink in the outer part of my crease, and then see where we're going from there. So I'm just gonna take the shade called 11 from the Sage row, and I'm gonna put that in my inner part of the crease. And I already primed my eyelids, so that's not something I still have to do. At this point I have not swatched this palette, so let's see what happens. Let's see if these greens are somewhat pigmented. So this light green is quite buildable, but it's not like super pigmented right away, but it does look good right now. You can definitely make it work, but it is quite light. But I think if you place this down first or put this on the lid and then use the other green to deepen it up, that would probably be a nice shade for that, but we'll have to see what that other green is like. I would have loved to see a green shimmer though. I think that would have been really nice. I think it's really hard to tell from the first eyeshadow you lay down if the palette is gonna be good. I used to do that more, like really tell you something about the palette based on the first shade, but I try to not do that as much anymore. I feel like I can really say things after doing the first full look, first full eyeshadow look. Okay, gonna go into number 12 over here, taking the same brush and kind of putting that over top and deepening it up. Let's see what happens. Yeah, these greens, they blend out easily, but they are pretty soft. Greens for the neutral lover. I haven't really seen any videos on this eyeshadow palette yet, personally. I don't know if anyone has already reviewed this, or if people are planning to buy it. But for me, this was a no-brainer to review. I'm just really excited about Nabla always. Okay, this is looking a bit crazy right now, but we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it. Okay, I'm gonna go into the shade number 6, this Dusty Rose over here, and I'm gonna put that in the outer part of the crease with the same type of brush, but this is a clean one. Let's see about these rosy tones, and let's see if this is even gonna work. Hopefully this isn't gonna get like super muddy. I feel like this is kind of working, but I'll have to use a deeper shade for sure. This is a nice pink shade, quite pigmented. I like these kinds of tones. The shadows are a little bit powdery, but I don't feel like they go on like a dry eyeshadow so far. Now I want to go into this shade number 2, and I'm also gonna go into the shade number 4 a little bit and just deepen up the outer corner. I want it to become deeper than the green we put down first. And I just want to see what these shades are like, how they blend on top of each other. if we can build this up. I do like the rosy tones with the sage greens. I like the vibe. Don't know what shimmer I'm gonna use though. Feel like it's looking a little bit crazy. I hope I can make this work. Normally I don't really experiment that much when I do a first impression, but this color story just made me want to play with pinks and greens. Now I'm gonna go into that deeper rosy red shade. Kind of like that brick reddish tone. Just deepen this up. I really hope this is all gonna come together after I've applied the shimmer on the lid. I usually don't do a lot of trust the process looks, but this definitely is one of them. I'm gonna try and blend this a little bit. Don't want it to get too muddy, but I do want a blend. Now I'm just gonna go into this shade over here, shade number 9. This is the deepest shade in the palette, and I just really want to know what happens when you put this one on top. And I'm just applying a lot of mattes on top of each other, but it's still deepening up. I do think that this shade would look a bit deeper if I hadn't put this many mattes underneath. But I feel like it's kind of working, but I don't know. I'm just gonna take a clean brush and kind of go over the edges a little bit. It's a bit of a difficult color combination like this. I don't know what I'm doing to myself. Okay. Now I think I'm gonna go into the shade that is number 7, this pinky shade over here. I'm gonna apply that on the lid with my finger. It does seem to be more of a sparkly, toppery shade and not really use on its own shade. It is very see-through, which could be very pretty, but I don't think this is gonna work with this look. I think I'm gonna grab this shade over here, the shade called number 3, and I'm gonna apply that over top and see if I can kind of save this. I need more pigment to fix this look. Okay, this is a lot better. This is a lot better. This is more of a satiny shade. It does have some shine to it, but this has a lot more pigment than that pinky shade, and I just didn't really like that one on its own. Now I just want to grab a little bit of that pink shade and put that over top, because I just want to see how I can make this work. Yeah, I think this is really like a topper sparkly shade, because it does make the eyeshadow underneath more sparkly. But if you really want some coverage, like some pigment, that's not the one to go for. And now I just want to go into the shade called Rosé, this one over here, and I want to put that a little bit towards the inner part of the eyelid. This one feels very, very creamy, very shiny. Oh, that's a very interesting kind of shade. It kind of looks yellow, green and lime as well. Like rosé and then kind of lime yellow. Like a very greenish gold almost. Very, very interesting. Let me see. Oh, that's really pretty. Okay, that definitely is the best shimmer I've put on my eyes from this palette so far. It is very soft though, but ooh, that's pretty. Okay, this is a very, very beautiful shimmer. I really, really like that. I do feel like this look is a little bit messy, but I wouldn't really blame the quality. I would blame me trying to mix in some shades that are a little bit hard to blend together. I kind of cleaned up in my inner corners because I felt like there was too much green there and it just looked a little bit crazy. Now I want to put something in the inner corner. Do we really have an inner corner shade here? I don't know about it. I'm gonna try and put the shade 14, number 14 in the inner corner, but I have a feeling that it's gonna be too deep and it's not really gonna be a highlight, but I just want to see what happens. Yeah, this is a pretty goldish tone. Yeah, I think I would grab an inner corner highlight from a different palette or just use my face highlight, because this isn't really working out. Not every eyeshadow palette needs to have an inner corner highlight, but it is something to note, because that means that this palette isn't like a one-stop shop. It doesn't have the full look, for me at least, because this is just, it's very deep. I just feel like I have to fix this a little bit. Bring back the pigment a bit. Bring back the red undertone. Alright, for the lower lash line, I want to go into a different row. I think I'm going to go into the honey shade and put that down first. I just want to try a lot of shades, but that sometimes means that the look isn't like the most beautiful look ever, and it gets a little bit messy. This is a very, very honey colored shade. A little bit mustard almost. Very interesting. Very powdery as well, but very pigmented. And now for the next shade, I'm gonna put 16 on the lower lash line as well. Kind of deepening this up. This is kind of like a chocolatey brown. Also nice and pigmented. Everything blends out very well today. I'm just gonna mix a little bit of the deepest red shade and the deepest shade in the sage row and put that in the outer part of my lower lash line to kind of mix everything together. I have a feeling that everything is gonna be okay after I've kind of cleaned up a little bit under my eyes. I think now I want to take a little bit of the 10 shade. That one looks very interesting, kind of like deep cool tone brown. I want to take a little bit of that and put that on the lower lash line. I'm just gonna take that on a pencil brush and see how that applies. There's quite a lot of fallout on my face from these really soft textured shimmers, so keep that in mind. Don't think it would be as bad with the glitter glue or when you spray a brush a little bit, but that's just not something I do a lot. So that looks quite pretty. It went on quite well. It looks like quite a nice shimmery shade. And now to try the last shimmer, and I think then I've tried most of the shades in this palette except for like 2. I'm gonna take this shimmer, and the shades that I haven't tried then is this one number 8 and this one number 13. So the rest of the shades I've actually managed to get on my eyes. I don't know how. I do feel like this shade looks a little bit similar to what I have in my inner corner. Okay, it's more rosy than the inner corner shade. This is also a bit more of a regular kind of satin metallic. I think this is gonna be everything for the eye look. I have managed to put a lot of eyeshadows on my eyes, and I think I kind of made it work. I'm just gonna put a little bit of concealer under my eyes, kind of clean up, put on the rest of my makeup, and kind of gather my thoughts, and then I will be right back to share my first impression thoughts. Okay, so this is the finished look. It is a bit different for me. It's a bit interesting. It definitely was a look where I had my doubts along the way. I was getting a little bit nervous, but I think in the end it all came together and I really, really like it. The shimmer that I used on the lid, not the satiny one, but this rosé shade that kind of has like a lime shift, that really took this look to a whole other level. It looks so pretty and shiny and glowy and just gorgeous. So in the end I really like this look, but it was a little bit of a journey, this look and this video. So let me sum up my thoughts. I really like the packaging. It's not really something I would have chosen myself, but I quite like it. It feels nice and sturdy. I like that they did something a little bit different. I really like the colors they chose, even though I don't think they are revolutionary, and they especially aren't revolutionary for Nabla. All the mattes in here are very pigmented, blendable, a little bit powdery, but still very nice to work with. I really like them. You can get some different types of looks with them, and there are a lot of colors in here that I think I will really use a lot and really like. The shimmers I quite liked. Like, I actually liked all the shimmers that I tried. The satin shades aren't the ones that really make my heart beat faster. Like this rosé shade, that really is a shimmer that takes the look to a whole other level. This pinky shade over here that I tried to use at first, I think I have to try that one again because it was so sheer. It was really like a toppery shade, and I used it on like a mixture of green and kind of a rosy red that was kind of blotchy, so it didn't really look the best. Of course I put a little bit on top, but I still feel like I have to use that one a little bit more and see how I feel about that one. But the rest of the shimmers I really liked. So all in all, I really like the quality of this palette, but I don't know if it's gonna beat out the Side by Side nude for me, because that is like such a staple palette. And with this one I kind of feel like it's a new version of the Dreamy palette maybe. It kind of gives me those vibes. So yeah, I really like the look. I really like the quality. I think this is a very pretty palette and I don't really have anything to complain about. But still there's something about this that doesn't make me like super excited as I thought I was gonna be. Maybe I have to try it out a little bit more. But I think it's because it's not revolutionary. Even though I really like this look and the shimmer, as I said, it's just amazing. I don't know if you should run out and buy this. I think you could also wait and see a little bit. Maybe get it on a discount, get it on a deal. When I bought this, this was 20% off. I don't know if they still have that deal. I can see myself using this one a lot. I can see myself really enjoying this, especially like those rosy tones and the neutral tones. Like there are a lot of shades in here that I would really love to wear and are just very pretty and just very user friendly. It is a palette that would really appeal to people that just love to do a quite simple look, but a little bit more interesting, a little bit more shiny. So yeah, that are my feelings for now. I don't have much else to say about it. I think this is really one where you have to see for yourself if you think that it adds a lot to your collection, because it's a pretty color story. I like the quality, as I said, but it's nothing revolutionary. So you have to decide for yourself if you think that this adds enough for you, if you think this is different enough. I don't think that I really need this, but now that I have it, I think I'll probably use it. Okay, I feel like I have talked enough and I have repeated myself enough. So that is gonna be everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe. And let me know if you're planning to pick up this palette. What do you think about it? What do you think of the layout? I would also love to hear about that from you. And then I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!